Welcome to the Vipinancy channel. Have you ever wondered why some highly intelligent people fail miserably in life, while average individuals build empires and happy homes? The answer isn't luck. It's a matter of management, mindset, and the battles we fight every single day. Today, we are exploring the life-changing lessons from the book Face Finish and First Light of Life by Vipin Kumar Verma. This is a survival guide for the modern world, arguing that life is essentially a war, and the final result of winning or losing is the only thing the outside world truly cares about. Let us dive deeply into the internal battles, the dynamics of relationships, and the true strategies for ultimate success. The book begins with a profound truth. The ultimate struggle is inside the mind. It is a fight against your own software of fear and doubt. One of the most dangerous weapons you carry is your ego. Indiscriminate use of attitude and ego should be avoided, especially with your closest loved ones. Consider the story of Sarah, a brilliant young architect. At work, she often used her professional ego to win arguments, but she brought that same attitude home, leaving her husband feeling belittled. One evening, after a harsh exchange, she realized her house had grown completely silent. She learned that a shield used at work becomes a weapon at home if you forget to put it down at the door. When communicating, you must know when to use your mind for business and when to use your heart for your family. To win this internal battle, you must cultivate a calm mind. Look at Dr. Eris, a lead surgeon. When the hospital power died during a high-stakes surgery, his assistant panicked and dropped a tray of instruments. But Dr. Eris, who practiced meditation daily, stood perfectly still and breathed deeply. When the lights returned, his hands were steady. He proved that while the world outside may be chaotic, the person who masters their inner stillness makes the best decisions when they matter most. A calm mind enables clear choices and amplifies your productivity. Another major barrier to success is self-doubt, which the book describes as a thief of time. Kevin had a dream of starting a bakery, but he spent 3 years just researching because he doubted his own skills. While he hesitated, a friend with less talent but more confidence succeeded. Kevin finally realized his self-doubt was stealing his time. He started small, baking just 10 loaves a day, and each successful loaf built a layer of confidence. You must remove fear by programming your mind with a new formula, one that allows you to confidently handle new situations. The most significant problem in human existence is the profound resistance to change. People secure a job, settle into a routine, and allow themselves to grow physically old without ever evolving their mindset. They fail to realize that a static mind cannot navigate a dynamic world. Consider Colonel Harlan Sanders, the founder of KFC. At the age of 65, he received his first Social Security check, a reminder of his financial struggles. Instead of remaining a victim of old age, he changed his mindset and traveled across the country to sell his chicken recipe. He faced more than 1,000 rejections, but these obstacles did not stop his success journey. By refusing to stay stagnant, he proved that a change in strategy can lead to achievement at any stage of life. If it suddenly begins to pour rain outside, you would immediately find a way to shield yourself. You wouldn't just stand there getting soaked because you were used to dry weather. When situations change, remaining stuck in your old mindset is as illogical as standing defenseless in a storm. Once you master your internal world, you must learn to navigate the dynamics of relationships. Trust is depicted as a fragile foundation. Lying may make work easier temporarily, but it is never a long-term strategy. A salesman named Leo was famous for stretching the truth to close deals. A year later, his phone stopped ringing because word had spread that his promises were made of smoke. Even when he offered a great deal, no one believed him. Trust is built brick by brick, but it only takes one lie to knock the building down. The book also explores why people leave relationships forever. Elena had been best friends with Sarah for 10 years. For 2 years, Sarah developed a habit of making small, biting jokes about Elena's career. Elena forgave her every time, valuing their history. However, one Tuesday, Sarah made a minor comment about Elena's shoes. It was a small thing, but it was the moment the trust tank hit absolute zero. Elena stood up and walked out, never to return. For the person breaking the relationship due to a complete breach of trust, the decision is rarely a sudden event. It is the final result of 1,000 small cuts. In professional settings, overtrusting a colleague can drag you into significant problems. A small business owner named Clara hired an IT contractor and began to trust him like a family member. She gave him access to personal accounts and stopped her weekly audits. 6 months later, she discovered he had been siphoning small amounts of money that added up to a fortune. Clara learned a painful lesson. The workplace is for functionality, not for building blind faith. Establish professional agreements very clearly from the beginning. Moving beyond personal relationships, you have to survive society. The book gives a stark warning. Your circle will decide your future. You inevitably become the average of the people you spend the most time with. To prove this, the author shares the story of the golden eagle. An eagle's egg accidentally landed in a chicken coop. The baby eagle hatched and grew up surrounded by chickens. He walked like them, ate bugs like them, and never flew high. One day, he saw a magnificent bird soaring in the sky and asked what it was. The chickens told him it was the king of birds, but he could never be like that because he was just a chicken. That eagle lived and died believing he was a chicken. He didn't lose his wings. He lost his mindset because of the company he kept. We see this in human life constantly. A young, ambitious artist named Leo moved into an apartment with roommates who spent every evening complaining about the economy. Over time, Leo found his paintbrush drying up. Realizing he was absorbing their stagnation, he moved out and shared a studio with 2 hardworking designers who discussed ideas daily. Within a year, his skills flourished, and he launched his own gallery. By changing his circle, he effectively rewrote his future. You must ruthlessly avoid negative auras and flying bombs. Flying bombs are reckless, negative people who have nothing to lose. A wealthy architect named Richard was driving to an awards ceremony when a man in a beat-up truck cut him off. Richard rolled down his window to shout back. The man, having no job and nothing to lose, threw a heavy stone, shattering the windshield and injuring Richard's eyes. Richard lost his vision and his moment of glory, while the man lost nothing. Richard collided with a flying bomb and paid a terrible price. Never waste your energy on those who seek to drag you down. Also, understand that your environment dictates your value. A world-class master violinist once played $1 million violin in a busy subway station while wearing old jeans. Thousands walked by, ignoring him, and he only made $30. The talent was the same, the music was the same, but the wrong environment made his value plummet. Context determines perception. If you are surrounded by the wrong kind of people, nobody will appreciate your good values. As we navigate this modern world, we must be careful of fake modernity. Julian prided himself on being modern by buying the newest smartphone and flashy branded clothes, but he refused to exercise and held onto outdated prejudices. His neighbor Sam dressed simply, but spent mornings jogging and evenings learning new software codes to adapt to the changing job market. When a recession hit, the fake modern Julian was laid off and struggled, while the authentically modern Sam adapted quickly to a new industry. True modernity is about mental and physical agility, not the label on your shirt. We must also be careful with how we compare ourselves to others in this digital age. A talented young pianist named Nina almost quit music because she spent hours watching prodigies on social media, feeling untalented in comparison. Her teacher pulled out a recording of Nina playing from the previous year and told her to compare herself to that. When Nina heard how much she had improved, her confidence returned. She realized that comparing herself to strangers was a trap, but comparing her present self to her past self was the only metric that mattered. We must fully understand the mechanics of action and time. Health and time are the only 2 things that never return once lost. A billionaire sitting in a hospital room offered half his fortune for the lungs of a 20-year-old. He had all the money in the world, but not enough breath to walk to the window. Money is renewable, but the minutes on your clock are on a one-way journey. The most crucial loss any human can experience is the loss of life itself. Take care of your body, always take precautions, and avoid unnecessary risks like rash driving. To maximize the time we have, we must move from passive knowledge to active application. Most people are overloaded with knowledge, but very few apply it. Thomas was a walking encyclopedia of fitness, yet he was overweight. His neighbor, who knew very little about science but walked 3 miles every morning, was in peak condition. Thomas had the knowledge, but his neighbor had the application. A map is useless if you never take a step. You don't need to be highly intellectual to win. You need to be an action taker. Intellectual people analyze deeply and try to win discussions, but action takers take action with limited knowledge and create momentum. Mark Zuckerberg chose momentum over perfect planning, believing in moving fast and breaking things. Action requires money, patience, and risk-taking. Elena was a culinary genius who could describe the perfect soufflé, but was overwhelmed by the thought of starting. Her cousin, a decent cook but a great doer, opened a food truck and learned from mistakes on the street. Wisdom is just potential energy. It only becomes success when you add the friction of real-world action. Furthermore, you must put in the right effort at the right time. Consider the story of the master archer who had 2 students, Ravi and Samir. The master told them he would teach them to shoot a moving target only during the monsoon season when the wind was strong. Ravi complained it was too muddy and waited for winter. Samir practiced every day in the rain, struggling with the wind. When winter came, the enemy attacked during a storm. Ravi could not shoot, but Samir, who had trained at the right time, saved the village. Ravi missed the season of preparation, and when he tried to learn later, it was too late. Once you start taking action, you must focus on completion. Mostly, people don't succeed because they fail to complete the task. An engineer started building a bridge across a wide river. He built strong pillars and spanned 90% of the water. But as he got close to the other side, he got bored and moved on to design a skyscraper. The bridge stood unfinished for years, completely useless. A simple wooden boat was more valuable than his 90% finished bridge because the boat actually got people to the other side. In life, a small task fully completed is worth more than a massive project left unfinished. Incomplete work will never yield a benefit. So, if life is a war, what is the ultimate strategy for success? According to the author, success is not a matter of having abundant resources. It is entirely a matter of management. Let's look at 2 farmers, Silas and Arthur. Silas inherited a massive, fertile farm with a river running through it. But he lacked discipline, woke up late, and never repaired his fences, assuming the rich land would do the work for him. Arthur bought a tiny, rocky plot of land on a dry hill with poor soil. But Arthur was a master manager. He built a system to catch rainwater, removed rocks, and planted crops carefully to maximize the sun. When a drought hit, Silas starved on a gold mine because he had wasted his water, while Arthur feasted on a rock because he managed his limited resources perfectly. You can have all the talent, wealth, and resources in the world, but without the ability to allocate them, your potential will be wasted. The best person always seeks solutions. When a heavy storm caused a massive leak in a community center, most members spent hours arguing about whose fault it was. But a quiet man named David immediately began placing buckets and organized a group to move the expensive equipment. While the others were busy with the problem, David was busy with the solution. A problem can be an opportunity if you look at it the right way. Finally, the book redefines what it means to be a winner and a true warrior. Life was never easy for anyone. A true warrior is someone who never gives up and fights until their last breath. You do not need a medal to be one. The true warrior was Martha, a mother who worked double shifts, cared for her mother, and still smiled at her children. She kept a calm mindset even in heavy traffic. Martha proved that anyone fighting the daily battles of fatigue to make their family's life beautiful is a true warrior. Success requires strong determination. J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter books, faced 12 rejections from publishing houses. Despite financial issues as a single mother, she never gave up and stuck firmly to her vision. Elon Musk faced near bankruptcy and 3 spectacular rocket launch failures early on with SpaceX. However, he never gave up, and the 4th launch was successful. Abraham Lincoln faced countless defeats in business and politics, yet he persisted until he was elected president. Every one of those defeats was an attempt that garnered experience. Who has the right to be a successful person? It is not just about college degrees. It is about being an overall person who knows how to manage their relationships. A high-ranking executive named Marcus had 3 degrees and a massive salary, yet his house was a place of silence and resentment because he never learned to manage his relationships. His driver, who had never finished college, had a modest income but a home filled with laughter and support. When a crisis hit the company, Marcus crumbled under pressure, while his driver navigated the uncertainty with calm resilience. The driver was the truly successful person because he possessed the know-how of life. The golden rule is that the person who has the ability to change themselves becomes the winner. 2 cousins, Arthur and Ben, inherited $20,000 each. Arthur refused to change his mindset and spent the money on a flashy car. Ben changed his mindset, lived simply, and used the money to learn business skills. 3 years later, Arthur was broke, while Ben owned a business and hired people. Success followed the man who changed, not the man who just spent. Beware of becoming what the book calls a premium quality loser. These are people who always play the victim and cry unnecessarily. They are energy suckers who enjoy making fools of others just to get attention and sympathy. They never take responsibility for any mistakes and make simple solutions complicated. Don't waste your energy and time on them. Take responsibility for your own life, because everybody has problems and challenges. The biggest loser in life is the person who never tries and always has excuses. 2 neighbors, Thomas and Jack, wanted to grow a beautiful garden. Jack started digging immediately. He made mistakes and some plants died, but he learned and planted new ones. Thomas just sat reading books, waiting for perfect weather. Months passed, and Jack's garden was full of flowers. Thomas's garden was still empty dirt. Thomas had no failures, but he also had no flowers. He was the biggest loser because he never even broke the ground. In the end, the outside world doesn't care about your background, your excuses, or how hard your specific situation was. The final results are all that matter. The only question they ask is, are you a winner or a loser? Life will test you constantly, but if you protect your mindset, manage your time, act with determination, and complete what you start, you will win the war of life. Thank you for listening to this comprehensive breakdown on the Vipin & C channel. If these lessons resonated with you, it is time to read the full book, Face Finish and First Light of Life, by Vipin Kumar Varma. Keep fighting, keep learning, and we will see you in the next video.